Hello Libra, and welcome to your monthly horoscope for July for the Sun or the Ascendant. I'm going to give you the standout issues to look out for this month in a brief synopsis, but please stay with me because I will then dive deep to give you in much greater detail all the influential dates and aspects for your sign this month. Now, of course, your sign is governed by Venus, so we've got to pay particular attention to Venus. And Venus starts this month in the part of your horoscope that's to do with the higher truth. It's in the 9th house, the sign of Gemini, which shares your air triplicity. And also Mercury, the planet of communication, starts the month in that area as well. So getting clear about what's really meaningful for you is going to be a theme in the early part of the month. But as you come into the month, the new moon, which occurred on the 29th of June, is in a square with Jupiter in your sector of relating. And of course, your great gift is for relating. So your ability to cultivate important contacts, present yourself skillfully, raise your profile to those in the know is really given a major lift in this month. But of course, we do have a very influential full moon on the 13th in that tender 4th house, which of course is where Pluto is. And Pluto also goes into some very stiff oppositions with both the Sun and Mercury later this month. So I need to explain that to you because that could be a little bit challenging. So please stay with me for your in-depth profile. But if you would like to ascend above this zodiac broadcast, if you give me 3 pieces of personal birth data of time, date and place, I can give you a roadmap that you can use that will really help you through the rest of your life. Also, within my special package, you can get a 12-month forecast and 30% off. Now, all of these are totally going to be unique to you. No 2 reports are the same. So please see the link beneath the video for more. Now, I'm racing up to that 100,000 subs mark. If you have subscribed, I'm very grateful. If you've yet to do so, I'd be honoured if you did. Please click or tap on the bell notification symbol. But please stay with me for that in-depth forecast next. So Libra, as you come into this new month, the sun is high in the sky in what's known as your midheaven in terms of seeing the sun as your first house. The 10th house or midheaven is where we're connecting to the wider world. But because it's in the sign of Cancer, the energies of Cancer, which is to do with protectiveness and emotional awareness and nurture, can be very helpful to you in how you progress your aims and ambitions, which is what the 10th house helps us to showcase. And because that position of Jupiter is so influential, not just at the end of last month on that new moon, which itself pours its energy into this month for some days, some weeks, we also have Jupiter in a square with the Sun for about the first 5 days. So there could be some important discussions going on right at the start of this month, but it's going to be very important that you're patient because Pluto, sorry to bring tiny but very influential Pluto up once more, that's in a right angle with the robust and rather abrasive energies of Mars in your sector of related, also in the first 4 or 5 days of July. So I think basically the Sun and Jupiter are asking you to seize the big picture, and Mars and Pluto are asking you not to be too forceful or defensive. If you feel that something isn't quite as you want, there may need to be a bit of give and take. And because Mercury and also Venus, your ruler, are in your 9th house of those higher truths, but also can promote the idea of travel, and travel could be linked to your professional situation or going away with some kind of partner in some kind of context, say a business colleague, I do feel that, pardon me, your ability to use information skillfully, to outline your position, but don't be too forceful or too defensive. That's really the warning at the start of this month. Now on the 5th, big changes. Mercury climbs high in the sky, joining up with the Sun. Now this could be, for some Librans, an opportunity to go on a training course to receive some extra professional on-site help in terms of learning new skills. Or for others, it may be that you're going to actively apply for new positions. And of course, Mercury is the messenger, so that could see emails, written proposals or curriculum vitae going off in the post to a prospective business associate, partner or prospective employer. So that can be an exciting change. But on the same day, Mars, planet of passion, which has been in the robust 7th house for you for the previous 6 weeks, that dives deep and goes into your 8th house. Now the 8th house, you have Uranus and the North Node. The 8th house can be destructive. It can be when things come to a close, but it can be when things evolve. It can be about transitions. It can be deeply psychological. And of course the 8th house is where we're most invested. But the 8th house and Uranus is almost, if you like, a contradiction in terms, because Uranus resists involvement if it needs to maintain its individuality. So there may be some areas of your situation which have proved to be quite choppy since Uranus moved into Taurus since March 2019 full time. Now Mars moving into this area is very desirous of money, also desirous of intense connections, so intimacy, sex. And by the end of this month, the last 5 days, Mars is going to be in a conjunction with Uranus. So something very turbulent could come to pass at the end of this month, but equally it could lead to some electric energy which connects you to a situation that can actually be very spiritually, psychologically or even financially transformational for you. So very exciting stuff towards the end of this month. But of course Mars moving into the 8th house can give us a sharper edge when it comes to using our long-term resources with more drive, which is what Mars is about. So just be mindful of that. Now in week 2 of this month, the Sun high in the sky forges a very productive link with Uranus in that 8th house. So this suggests that when it comes to your career, don't be fearful of sharing with people any innovative ideas you have, or if you're someone who's a real trendsetter, particularly around technology, which Uranus really, I feel, would be very closely involved with, this can be a time of great and exciting developments for you. Also from the 11th through to around about the 16th, Venus, your ruler, is forging a very productive link to Saturn. Saturn continues. Although it's in its retrograde, it does continue in the sign of Aquarius, which is your sister air sign, and of course the 5th house. And this is where you can be self-expressive, which of course Saturn's not great at encouraging, but you can see with Venus in the 9th house of learning or travel, there could be a conversation you have across those days which really gives you a sense of security. You know where you stand, and Saturn in that sense can be a great anchor for the more frivolous and flirty nature that Venus can have. Now on the 13th we do have the full moon, and that's in Capricorn, and of course that's where Pluto is as well. Now the full moon therefore is in your 4th house and the Sun in the 10th house. So what you're being asked to just maybe align a bit more shrewdly is the balance between your home, emotional and security, the 4th house, Capricorn, which in itself there's a contradiction here because of course the 4th house is generally a Cancerian energy, but the Sun for you in Cancer is the 10th house, generally a Capricornian energy. So making sure that your progress in the world is well supported, the basis of your world, gives you the tools to flourish in terms of the way that you interact with people. So in other words, your support systems are working well, is going to be key. Now Saturn actually forges a quincunx with the Sun. So Saturn in your 5th house in an obtuse but tense angle to the sun in your 10th house of success. So I think it's just saying to you basically that if you're trying to make progress in your career or trying to evolve your own business, it needs to not threaten your security, but at the same time, it also needs to enable you to express yourself. And if you find it difficult to do so, that could be something that impacts on your morale, the 4th house energy. However, on the 18th, Venus, your ruler, climbs high into the sky, joining up briefly with Mercury, but of course with the Sun. And if there have been some tensions, Venus enables you to use that more svelte and sophisticated and diplomatic approach in order to steer events as far as your worldly involvements are concerned. The problem, Libra, and this is really the nub of your month in a more challenging way, is that from the 17th through to the 22nd, the Sun and Mercury go face to face with Pluto. And someone close to you may not be completely convinced by what you're trying to do in terms of your ambitions or your professional involvements. So if you're wanting to apply for a job, but your partner doesn't really feel it's the right thing to do, that could lead to some tensions. The great news is that on the 19th, Mercury moves again. It moves 3 times this month. So when it moves into Cancer on the 5th, it's only there for 2 weeks, which is very unusually swift. It's usually there for 21 days. Moves into Leo on the 19th, joined by the Sun on the 22nd. And this is really significant because the Sun governs the sign of Leo. So it's the only sign that the Sun individually governs. So it's a very powerful transit. And for you, the 11th house that Mercury and the Sun move into is about your future, but it's who you can also collaborate with. Not losing your individuality or your need to express yourself, but where you can almost work as part of a group where you each get what you need, but you can somehow collectively collaborate to mutual benefit. So that's really possible on the back of that move and that Leo energy developing. So a lot more sociability is going to come into your world later this month. There's an enormously exciting new moon on the 28th because it's in a trine with Jupiter in your sector of related. There could be a new friend, even a new romance or new business association that comes in the following month that can prove to be really exciting. But of course, concurrent to that, we do have that conjunction between Mars and Uranus. Sometimes in life, you have to let go of something in order to get something. And because the 8th house can be a very transformational and transactional part of our zodiac, in terms of finance anyway, maybe Mars sees an opportunity, wants to move quickly on it, and Uranus helps things to happen at the speed of light. But it may mean cutting away from something that you'd previously been highly invested in. On the other hand, maybe something's going to come along where you have to make a snap decision. But with that glorious new moon, the best of the year really, because of course it involves the Sun, which is in its home zone, in that trine to Jupiter, just absolutely brilliant for you. But Jupiter does go retrograde on the 28th, ironically, so it's important not to take relationships for granted, although I do feel that generally it can be an area of growth for you. So this is a month where there's a lot of activity around your role in the world at large. You know, your responsibilities, obligations and ambitions, and balancing that with your emotional needs. But later in the month, you get the chance to really enjoy yourself and be much more socially interactive. It's been a pleasure being with you. Take care and goodbye.